Rayshawn, one of these days we're going to come onto the show with something positive to talk about. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we've actually been able to talk positive about Boston sports. I don't know, the Eastern Conference Finals. Now we can't even talk about the Celtics good anymore. Welcome into the 617, brought to you by Crowworthy on the Crowworthy Network. We are the boys of the fans, by the fans. I am Craig D'Alessandro. That is Rayshawn Buchanan. I'm looking the wrong way again. Rayshawn Buchanan is here as well, the big Wale, and we are here bringing react from another. It's hard to feel disappointed about a game you thought that they were going to lose coming in, but the Patriots found a way as they lose to the Baltimore Ravens by a score of 37-36. Patriots are 1-2 on the season. Head to Green Bay to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers Lambeau Field next season. Rayson, we're gonna break this down over here for the next hour or so. As I mentioned, hard to feel bad about a game you thought they were gonna lose. Patriots found a way. I actually felt, as someone who was like an outside observer, is like, I don't know, say it was like a fan from Arizona or something. This is a great football game. I actually really liked the game itself. Patriots came out on the wrong end. They were good and bad throughout the entire game for both teams. We're gonna go through mostly Patriots for this one. But first impressions before we deep dive into it, how'd you feel? Patriots now 1-2 on the season, another bad loss for the Pats.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some things to take away from it, and we'll get into what went well for them early on and even into the third quarter. So yes, if you take the fan aspect out of it, obviously our emotion, because obviously we're invested in what they do. Then yeah, it was a good game from that perspective. But as we do the deep dive, because there's gonna be some things that we were pleased with, that we had not seen in the first couple of weeks, and some things that they were doing in the first couple of weeks that they did not do today as well. So uh I'm all over the place when it comes to how I want to get into it, but once again, it's like I said, it's hard to get completely annoyed or upset that they lost this game, but it's also about how things happen in the within the throes of the game. So like I said, we'll get into that shortly.
Yeah, I was all over the place with this one. I felt real, if you were following us on our Twitter account today, I was pretty much all over the place. I actually thought the Patriots looked pretty damn good for the most part. Like 80% of this game, I thought the Patriots pretty much. Oh my God, what's going on? Hold on. That was not a sponsor. Never mind, ESPN. Getting back to that, I actually thought the Patriots played pretty well in this game overall. The score does not dictate how well they actually uh, played versus the Ravens. Um, Still, Mac Jones got a lot of growing up to do. We're gonna get to him a lot in this one. Still making a lot of bad decision making for the Patriots here in year two, and I think clearly this is a step back in his progression based on last year. I thought last year he played pretty well. He made a Pro Bowl either way you look at it. But Mac Jones, 22 of 32 today, 321 yards, 3 picks. He leads the NFL in interceptions. He only has 2 touchdowns through 3 games. I feel like he's been okay, but the results wise just aren't there yet.
Yeah, I think numbers wise, I mean, outside of the turnovers, he's gotten better. Obviously, with the numbers, as I put that in air quotes. But yeah, right now, on like just from the eye test perspective, like yeah, he definitely has taken a step back, and I don't know if he feels pressure to kind of take on more, which is why he's becoming more of a risk taker. But I think he has to learn how to still think through the game. I thought there was times around last year where things started to slow down for him, and that's when he started to become a little more productive. Um, but right now it seems like the game is still moving pretty fast. It's either it's moving pretty fast or he's just saying, "Well, I got to make a play because I don't know if the defense is going to do this," or I guess he just feels like there's so many variables that's on this team that may not go in their favor. So he feels that he has to be the person that puts them on the map, so to speak. So I'm hoping what I just said is truly the answer. Could I get it from a competitor standpoint? But at the same time, they mentioned this on the broadcast. he mentioned to them saying that, "Hey, I believe that my thought process, my brains are what sets me apart right now." So if that's the case, that has to be on display all the time. Yes, all the greats have made mistakes. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, so on and so forth. Like you're gonna have games where nothing you put together, comes out the way you envision. Um, but it's how you respond to that the following week. And like I said, we'll have time to get into that. But just on the surface, there were some things he did well. Um, I love the swag that he showed, in different parts of this game. But like you said, there is a lot of things that he still has to do in order to grow. But he has to look within and then start really seeing, okay, once he gets back from this injury, obviously, just kind of seeing what he can do to help not only himself, but help the team going forward.
I have to think part of the reason he's struggled so far this season is clearly the offense has kind of stepped back in what used to be, we all know, is one of the most complex offenses in the NFL. New England Patriots have for like 20 years. And now it's a move that I still don't understand, and no one's been able to justify it to me. I don't care what guests we've had on, who we talk to, bringing in two of the worst coaches in the NFL that this entire league has seen in the past decade or so, and
Mhm.
Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and just
Yep.
handing them the Patriots offense when Joe Judge was a joke in New York. Matt Patricia got laughed out of Detroit. And also, Matt Patricia, I don't care what anybody says, is the offensive coordinator of this team.
Right.
Never, he's never schemed for offense before, and I think it's pretty damn clear so far through 3 games, 5 games if you include the preseason, that he has no idea what he's doing. Sure, I can call some of these plays too, but it's just like I don't know. I'm just so frustrated because I know Mac Jones is talented. I've seen him play. Maybe I'm skewed by the way he played in Alabama when he
Mhm.
was just surrounded by all world talent. But I know for the fact that this Patriots team has the talent to be good. I think the coaching has just held them back so far.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's definitely a mix of both. And like I said, we'll get into the individual performances, in a few. But it has to start with him. And we could speak about what Patricia has done, we could speak about what Judge has done or not done for that matter, but it has to start
Anything?
with him because he's on the field though. He's on the
Yeah.
field. So, he's got to get to a point where it's like, yo, I appreciate y'all calling for us to go vertical or whatever, but maybe let me hit the seller cross. And there was a few seller cross plays that actually worked today. It was like, oh, it's amazing what happens when you just don't always go deep and you switch it up. You run a few post corners, like I say, you run a few shallow crosses. So that caters to what Mac does really well. Once again, it didn't show too often because of what happened, far as the turnovers. But yeah, it's got to start with 10. Like I said, we could talk about the coaching
Yep.
all day, but he's got to wake up immediately. And once again, we don't know what the severity of what happened today is, and we hope that it's not long. Because obviously, if that's the case, then that's a whole nother thing to discuss. And what do they do at that position? Because number 5, aka the de facto quarterback coach, as Joe has called him, um, he's not the answer. He's not. And if we're going to do this at this moment, I'd rather see Bailey Zappi at this moment. And I know Green Bay.
Oh, you're not going to see that. No
I
chance.
look, but my thing is, you threw in Mac Jones into the fire right away. Like my thing
Yeah.
is, you never know. Um, Brian Hoyer doesn't put you in a position to be competitive. And if that's how they spin it this week, that's a fucking joke. That's a lie. Or as a kid saying that's cap. Like that's bullshit. There's no way you're gonna spin to me, just like we're gonna see a press conference tomorrow for another sport. How they're gonna spin that, the new interim coach is gonna no, you're not gonna sit here and insult my intelligence to tell me that this guy is gonna make sure that we're competitive in the game. It's just not. We saw it in Kansas City a couple of years ago. We seen it in some other games. Like that's 2 years removed from that. You're not gonna convince me that guy is going to come in and actually do anything of substance. Someone said this on Twitter. It might have been on Twitter, or someone might have texted this to me. Um, dude, do they bring back Cam Newton at this moment?
Oh God, I've
Well,
seen a lot of
he would help the run game. He
yeah.
would help the run game. He would help it dramatically. You know,
Yeah.
they had the best running attack when he was here. So I mean, hey, you know, if that's the case, if you just want to run the ball back until Matt comes back healthy, why not?
Well, that's what they seemed like they were doing today. It seemed like the run was the high emphasis of the entire
Yep.
game. It seems like that's been the entire emphasis of Matt Patricia's entire playing scheme so far is running the ball. And be it they have two excellent running backs back there in Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. I think it's pretty clear based on what we saw today that Ramondre Stevenson is the lead back on this team, at least in my mind. This is who I mainly saw out there. Damian Harris is still a good runner, but I don't think I still think
Yeah,
that
he was making more things happen.
yeah.
As much as I love Damian Harris, I think Damian Harris has been an awesome piece to what they're trying to do offensively. When healthy, obviously, I think that from a pass catching perspective, from a moving within the tackles, if you notice, and I'm sure you may have seen on the All 22 thing that you talked about watching last week when we talked about the
Not out
Steelers.
yet, but I'll see it.
And they come out yet, right? But um, they are moving away from the zone running scheme.
Mhm.
They went more of a man on man. So I don't know if it's going to be something that they kind of blend in between the two. But when they went away from the zone, um, you saw some things happen. And one of the plays I think that Stevenson, I think I got a first down on where, you know, or when Isaiah Wentworth were his better players today, you know, they had doubled down. They got a good block on one of the Ravens linemen. Andrews had to go one-on-one. Strange had to go one-on-one. And, you know, Stevenson was able to get to the second level pretty quickly. So that's the kind of tape that they need to be showing when they looked at this tape throughout the week. Um, they held up pretty well against Baltimore's defensive line. I know Mac was sacked a couple of times, but you know, I would say we had better pressure than you know than Baltimore. And I said we'll get into that because you know your analysis of what Deatrich Wise has done, I think it's starting to hit the airwaves. I see some other people that we haven't even spoke to, but they're like, "Oh, Deatrich Wise has been great." I'm like, I said, I wonder if you've been listening to MTP on the 617 because that is something that we spoke about, we tweeted about, we've been on the air and mentioned it. So maybe what you know Craig is putting out there as the narrative about Deatrich Wise is now running rampant throughout Boston media. So all we have to say to that is you're welcome.
I would
You
I
know?
wouldn't say
That's
I
it.
wouldn't say I discovered that or been, chirping about it more, but I'm definitely a cheerleader of the Deatrich Wise movement.
Yeah.
It's just clear he's just been so dominant this season. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
almost impossible not to see what he's been doing. And it's like I mentioned on Twitter today, that's like Chandler Jones rookie year, second year, what Deatrich Wise is doing right now. He's unstoppable. And it's coming at the expense of Christian Barmore, who really hasn't done much this season so far. It's only 3 games in, so I'm not really taking
Yeah.
that much stock into it.
I
Matt
think
Matt
teams are game
Judon
planning
had
for him, though, honestly. That's what I think.
say it again.
I think teams are game planning for him more.
Sure.
That
I
so
mean,
and so I mean, obviously now it's up to Baltimore to figure out, okay, how can I still be disruptive when they're looking to attack me or looking to at least get me out of the play? Because we've seen it. He's very disruptive when he's
yeah.
on a one-on-one. You can't just block him one-on-one.
I
You have to get someone to engage with him and maybe do like a little chip block or whatever. Like you're not going to get him just one-on-one. So, I do think that they have put an emphasis more on 90, which has allowed the Deatrich Wises to have the moments that he's had. Um, Even Lawrence Guy, who's been here, but I know he went out earlier too with the shoulder injury. So, um, yeah,
it's appropriate
that's
for
like
me.
awesome. They were great.
It's appropriate for me. It's appropriate for me to bring this up because he was out there today, but um Vince Wilfork didn't have the most mind blowing stats in the world, and he's a Patriots Hall of Famer, could be a Canton Hall of Famer someday,
Right.
and he, you look at his stats, he looked like 35 tackles on a season or whatever,
Mhm.
maybe 2 sacks, and meanwhile he was the most dominant nose tackle in the game because they needed 3 players to block him. Or Geno Atkins was like that when he was still active too, or
Yep.
some of the other players. But
Washington, two
the
trailers.
defense,
Yeah, that.
yeah, the defensive line was on Lamar Jackson's ass all day and quickly. I understand Lamar Jackson's going to hurt you no matter what, just because he's Lamar Jackson. He's
Right.
going to be he's going to be the highest paid quarterback next year. I guarantee it. But
I won't see more than Mahomes, but it'll be close.
I think he's going to break Mahomes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that hard. That'd be hard to do. I mean, I understand why they would.
yeah.
But I don't see him surpassing that. But he should be right behind Mahomes. I'll say that he should be right behind at the.
Let's settle on this. He'll be top 5.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Good.
It's not.
All right, I didn't think Lamar played that. I didn't for like 3 quarters. I thought Lamar Jackson played straight up doo doo. I didn't thought he played that well at all. There was one point where I looked at because Mac Jones is actually pretty good today rushing when he shouldn't be. But I actually looked at the stat sheet and I was like, I wonder if Mac Jones has more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson. Let me just look. Oh, Mac Jones, 36 rushing yards. That's pretty good. Lamar Jackson, 86. All right, that's fine. He's still effing elite. So that's good. But I thought the Patriots actually held this Ravens team pretty solidly down, even though the ending score doesn't, just because the fourth quarter is such a freaking dumpster show. I didn't mind the defense.
The third quarter is really where it got out of hand.
Yeah.
For it to be a 1-point game at halftime, you're feeling good. They take the lead in the third quarter, one of 2014 after Damian Harris scores his touchdown to make it 2014. Then Baltimore scores 17 unanswered. Like it's just that was the game. They couldn't stop a nosebleed there, and they had actually kept Andrews in check after he'd had a crazy first half.
Oh, he
And
killed us.
scored it on him again. Because to me, I know people were saying, "Oh, that was a hell of a throw." I'm not talking to Duvernay one. I was talking about the second one to Andrews. I also
Either way, he was on us like white on rice.
right, but I'm like, if McCourty turns around, that's a pick. He underthrew it.
Sure.
Right, Mark Andrews made a hell of a play to come to jump up and grab it. But if Devin McCourty turns around, either it's a pass deflect or that's a pick, and we're talking touchback and it was at the 20-yard line. So to me, I'm just like, it should have been 1 touchdown to Mark Andrews, not 2. But like I said, that throw to Duvernay was amazing, and it was amazing because, like I said, Mike, who's not a supporter of Lamar at all, had mentioned to that throw to Duvernay, that back shoulder fade was phenomenal. So yeah, he gave what the game needed. At several points throughout the game, and Mac did too a different way. Like I said, Mac just had some of his better throws go to them. I loved that Devonte Parker finally got off the snide a little bit. Because we were mentioning about him being washed and maybe not being what he was in Miami, even from 2019 and early on in 2020. So for him to have 5 catches, 156 yards. He did a little bit of everything today, as I mentioned on the broadcast, and I thought he would just be a go vertical person, but he ran different routes today, and they look crisp. The only play with him I regret is the one of the picks that Mac had was to him in the end zone. Throw that away, get 3 there. It would have helped towards the final score potentially. Could maybe not press as much later on to score a touchdown in that regard. But like I said, I love that connection got together, and as you see is that we got that graphic at the bottom of the screen. It's really jarring and it's alarming. It's sickening, maddening, whatever word you want to use. That he has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 picks already, and 80% of those interceptions have happened while throwing to Devonte Parker. And some may say it's a coincidence. I'm just like Gibbs from NCIS. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Learn to spread the ball around, and that's what he had to do today. But to me, I was pleased to see that Devonte Parker finally got off the snide, because I was like, well, we haven't had that here maybe since Brandon Cooks was here. And, I think with this back-to-back weeks, they had a 100-yard wide receiver. So that hasn't happened, you know, in,
Long
in,
time.
in in about 2 years. So the fact that it had to happen to Edelman. So Edelman had it in Seattle, in week 2 a couple years back. So like that to me lets me know.
His last game.
Right. That's hard to think, right? I mean, at least went out with a bang, so to speak, right? But I was like, wow,
Yes, we lost,
that
but
was tough. You know? Right. Right.
I'm not.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm happy about it. Once again, like I said, that's one of the positives we could take away from this. But
Mhm.
like I said, it's unfortunate that it didn't result in a win.
I'm happy you brought the Devonte Parker thing up. First of all, it's Devonte, not Devonte. Like everyone's out there, like this, like the wide receiver out in Las Vegas now. Because all Twitter, everyone's like Devonte, like Davante.
Right.
Like, no, that's the wrong Devonte.
Right.
But neither here nor there.
Right.
Uh, you mentioned it earlier with him actually getting off today, and I saw early in the game, I saw Mac Jones reach back and throw downfield. And with Mac Jones, I pretty much learned this season so far. If he's going downfield, he's looking for Devontae Parker.
Right.
And I felt when he threw that, and I knew it was going to Devontae Parker, I felt the exact same way that I feel when Marcus Smart is trying to take a shot in the fourth quarter and studying passing at the Tatum or Brown. I was like, no, what are you doing? Don't do it. Don't usually is. And but this time he was on fire. I understand Baltimore's got a wretched secondary right now, but man, if he can actually put it together and actually get separation and run, he's
Hmm.
fast, he's explosive, he's a
Yep.
real playmaker. As I said earlier, it could be something we haven't had in New England in, I don't know, 15 years. It could be wide receiver one season in New England again. And that's something I'm totally here for. I feel like he could be a total playmaker. And this is something that, I'll credit Matt Patricia for, I guess, which is forcing it to kind of Devontae Parker. That's something they need to do. He can't just be someone out there as a decoy to take away your number one cornerback. He
Right.
needs to play, and he played today. He take away all, talk about all the negatives you want of the Patriots today. He balled out.
Yeah. Yeah. But that we need more of that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who's behind center, like you gotta find a way to get everyone involved. So and I think it kind of alludes to what you said last week because we talked about why the tight ends weren't doing as much. But if you're not gonna get 5 for 150 from Nanu or or Hunter Henry. Maybe next
Did
you
you know Hunter Henry was on the New England Patriots? Did you? I think people
get.
forgot Hunter Henry's on the team.
Well, so was Mac. I mean, like I said last year, I felt like he was security blanket for Mac, and
He had 9 touchdowns.
yeah, exactly. So I just once again, I don't know, but then again, I think in Josh McDaniel's offense, I think it was going to be more catered towards a tight end doing what they do if they actually had a capable tight end. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Henry did well because he was kind of a lesser version of Gronk in that regard. So that's why I think that worked. Um, But I don't know, to me, they have to figure out how to get those guys. So whether it's just running seam routes, whether it's a tight end screen, whether it's a tight end shallow cross like they run in Madden, where it's called a middle cross, I think that to me where they can carve up the most yards for those guys. Or even if you just find them on comeback routes and they just get 6, 7 yards a pop, and next thing you know, they got 5 catches for 60 yards, which we'll take because if you can get 10 catches for 120 out of both of them, that to me is a successful week. If they get a touchdown, great. If not, but those should be the guys to help move the chain. Jono did have a couple of plays today. You just see them. That fourth down play that Met stormed out of to get the first down. That might be the best play he's had since he got to New England, which is ironic because obviously some of the things that went wrong today. But to get out of there, and we've talked about it before. We said something about this last year. That's something that doesn't happen with Tom here. Tom, they would have sacked Tom, and it just would have been turnover on downs. But the fact that he got away, was able to get behind the line of scrimmage and pass off to Jonnu Smith and end up getting a first down, I think which ended up leading to the touchdown. was huge, and it gave them a chance in that moment. I wish that 2-point conversion had went through. I think that kind of took the sales out of them too. Once that happened, it was like, oh, it's not a 3-point game; it's 5 points, and then obviously I was like, well, the game is still over because they got to get a stop, and they got the stop, and then he gave it right back. So, like I said, I know I'm blending in between the positives and negatives, but it's just so many things that come to mind that was frustrating to see as it unfolded. But
Do you,
the original point, Devonte Parker was great today.
do you think the tight ends just aren't talented?
No, but I think Hunter Henry's had some moments when you've seen that he could play. And we saw it
Where's it
last
been?
game. I mean, I don't know.
He played 46. He played unofficially 46 snaps today. I don't think he had a catch. I didn't even see him on the field.
Yeah, but I mean,
He,
that's all for sure too.
sure,
You know,
sure.
find a way to get those guys open in the ball. Once again, Johnson would look great in a blocking game. We've seen a few plays where he had a few catches because they looked out for him. But I'm like, I don't know. I just think to me they need to be more creative with the play call when it comes to those two. Because now it makes it look like it was a net signing, which to me, I don't think it was a net. I thought it was great signings for both of them. But you have to do things that cater to them. So maybe putting once again, I know I keep referring to Madden, but it's just coming to my mind as I talk about it. It only used to be in the Packers playbook, but with Packers, sometimes Ravens, but there was a package on Madden called Full House, and they would have a tight end or a fullback in the backfield, and then they would either slip out and run like a 5-yard out, or they were going to come back route. Honestly, I think that'd be perfect for Jonnu Smith because he's a yard after the catch guy. I think if he misses a tackle, he can go for 20 yards easily. He has an athleticism. That's not Hunter Henry's a little more of a possession guy. Get him down the middle, let him go. Let him go get it in the end zone. We saw that on occasion last year. So I just think it's about creativity. It's about knowing where they can create space in the field for them, and not just saying it's a game. It's a game. The game, game plan. It's just figure it out and see what they can do to benefit the offense, because you have guys there that can produce. It's just a matter of how you going to highlight that.
I don't think talent's the problem on this team. I think it's it all goes back to Patricia and Judge. I don't care. You boil it down. They're the ones in charge of it. Bill's doing the personnel groupings. It's the way he's always been. He's always delegated the offense and the defense to somebody else. He does, game management and putting players on the field. Back to the tight ends before I move on to where I want to go with this. I think Jonnu would do a lot of damage out of the slot. I think he would do real damage doing there. Put him up against a linebacker out of the slot, and I think he could do real damage. I'm just, maybe I'm just smarter than Matt Patricia. Wouldn't shock me. I know he's a rocket scientist and everything, but I just see so many matchup potentials in that, him just coming out of the slot, and especially the way the personnel was today. I just feel like there was a lot of production left on the field that could have been had.
That route, the route that the Edelman scored the game winner against Seattle in Super Bowl 49.
Yeah.
I think Jones was be perfect to put in that route. Obviously he's not as shifty as Edelman, but I think if you once again put him in that slot, he runs there, pivots, turns his hips to the side of the end zone, and Max won't find him. I mean, it's fine what we talked today. Max accurate when he's on. I mean, I don't want people to overblow that. Think that this has been a trend. Like no, like when he's right. when he's on, he's at least 70%. He was still almost. Think about that. He had been almost 80% today without the pick. 22 or 32. It's still.
I got it. There you go.
Yeah, 22 and 32. That's 68.5%. I think something like that, 6.5%. So
nice.
So that's without and I'm saying so that was with the pick. You know what I'm saying? So like he'd have been almost 80% without the pick. So I'm just like he once again, it was a bad moment. It happens. It happens. I know on the broadcast after it was like, oh, this has been entrenched Indianapolis game last year, and he doesn't make great decisions, and who is he at this moment? And I get it. You got to make these hot takes. People are emotional. Um, Listen, we're pissed off. We haven't sounded like we're pissed off at
Yeah.
this moment, but we are pissed off. But one thing we're going to give here, we're going to give you sound analysis. We're going to give you, good content, and not something where we're just making emotional takes just because, we think that's what's going to be something you need or want to hear. But like you said, a lot of players out there love to be desired, and they got to figure out a way to, you know, create the spacing and then get those guys to the point that they um are putting fear in defenses. It's just that simple. Because right now, that's not the case. And then that's why I got so nervous when they got down. 'Cause I was like, well, I said they're not built for, they're not built for a shootout. They're not. And Baltimore, because of what just went through last week, I knew they was gonna be actually motivated not to give that up. They was like, look, we cannot go down like this. Like we have to. I mean, they almost did. They almost blew it for a second week in a row, but I was just like, yeah, we could not go back to back with them, shot for shot like that. That's not conducive to what we're gonna do. We'll see what happens next week, but I was like, yeah, like Lamar by himself is the most dynamic player on the field, regardless of position. So I was like, we got to make sure we keep it close, and they did for the most part until, like I said, they couldn't, and that's just what it was.
All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're about halfway through where we are right now. We still have a lot of stuff to get to in this hour-ish we're with you today. We'll see how long we have today. I still want to get to the Kendrick Bourne thing. That's still an issue that we need to address. I want to get back to the Mac Jones thing as well because it's going to be a lingering issue. I'm spoiler alert. He's not going to play in Green Bay, my opinion, but we'll see. So what's going to happen right now? If you're listening on the podcast, you're going to hear my beautiful baritones bring you your betus.com commercial coming up here in just a quick second. Thank you so much, BetUS, for sponsoring us. You can get 125% sign up bonus using the promo code CROW. You can do that if you're on the podcast, if you're on the YouTubes rather, or you're streaming with us on 617 Facebook, Twitter page rather. We're just going to stay right here and move right back into it. So, podcast Craig, go. Yeah, so Kendrick Bourne's still not playing. What's going on here? So, coming into this game, Jacoby Myers really didn't practice all week. He got in a couple of limited practices.
Mhm.
The tea leaves are pretty much out there that he was not going to play. And so everyone's like, it's finally, here it comes. It's the Kendrick Bourne breakout game like that. And I, meanwhile, was like, yeah, maybe it's a little Jordan Humphries breakout game. Let's see. And neither of that was correct. But what was true right here is the snap count from what happened today. Little Jordan Humphries played 53 snaps. There were 68 offensive snaps today. I think Devonte Parker's played every single snap, by the way, on offense this season, which is incredible. If not 98%, at least he's been out there almost every game. So credit to him. Kendrick Bourne still only 20 snaps. It's pretty clear something's still going on here. And I was listening into the post games on both 98.5 and on with Amina, Tom Curran, and everyone else on it. NBC Sports Boston.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And pretty much what they've been able to figure out is Patriots pretty much gave themselves away in a way when Lil Jordan Humphries is on the field and when Kendrick Bourne is on the field. So pretty much it was pretty much what happened with when N'Keal Harry was on the field last year. When N'Keal Harry was on the field last year, you pretty much knew they were running the ball, and that's pretty much what defensive knew was going to happen with Lil Jordan Humphries today. When Lil Jordan Humphries was on the field, they knew that they were running the balls, and that's where I felt like the Patriots left a lot of points on the board because they knew he was out there. And when Kendrick Bourne was out there, they knew he was going to pass. Mac Jones was going to pass, and it's just so frustrating, man. I have to lean back for this one because we know he's got the talent. Even it's been all 3 games, Rayshawn, all 3. He's been out there in the fourth quarter. He makes at least a 20 to 30 yard catch, and it seems like momentum's coming. And it's the game's already over.
Yep.
It's already over at this point. When if you made that play earlier, you could drive down the field, start making those offensive plays. And
Yep.
it's just so freaking frustrating because he's a playmaker. He can't play. We saw it last year. Yeah, it was Josh McDaniels. He might be fired soon too. It's
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
what's going on? Help you. I need the voice of the fans. You know this more than me. You're tapped in more than I am with the people. What are they saying on this?
I think that people are pissed. I think they share the same sentiment you share, right? 4 catches, 58 yards.
I don't get this frustrated.
No, I know, but I mean, but
Little
it's worthy. It's worthy of that anger. It's worthy. And I mentioned it last week when he wasn't out there, but like I said, I mean, I guess you'll look at the box score and say it was an uptick from what he did because it was, 4
Sure.
catches, 58 yards. 'Cause he was very instrumental on that drive right before the half. When he scored, not scored when they scored a field goal. He got those back-to-back first downs. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is maybe where he can make a difference today because he could be that Jacoby Myers, replacement, so to speak. Excuse me. And it just never happened. And once again, that's on Matt Patricia, whoever's out there. Like, if you're telegraphing, so you tell me you said they had 68 plays altogether, and 53 he was out there.
more or less. The official counts on it.
Yeah. Okay, so just raw numbers. So 5 out of 6. So you're telling me 80% of the time they knew what the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
80%. 80% of the time that he was out, it was gonna be a play that, so basically you're telegraphing what you're doing. I didn't know I was watching, our favorite program on Monday nights and Friday nights. I didn't know that. I didn't know that we were watching that someone was gonna get put over. I didn't fucking know that. So that's out of control to me that that's what's taking place. Because quite simply at this level, because this is not Friday Night Lights. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for the other team to know what's gonna happen 80% of the time. They're sitting there like, all right, we just gotta make a play. We know what's coming, we just gotta make a play. And for the most part, they did. And once again, Baltimore Ravens had it too. Because once again, and Mike, when you listen back to this, because you put it in our chat. Oh, our secondary chat. And the moment that Mike co-signed that shit, I said some bullshit's about to happen. Because I was like, he's never positive about this shit. So the fact that he sat there was like, oh, well, it's fine. They'll be, we just have to talk less to their defense. I'm like, oh, it's too fucking early for him to talk like this. Like, I can't believe that he's saying this. And then next thing you know, we throw the interception, and basically, it was essentially over from then. So, and listen, Mike, I'm fucking with you. I love you, baby, but it was bad. You co-signed this shit way too early, man. We should have waited to reserve judgment to after the game was over, to see where they were. But it is what it is. But do not telegraph your offense going forward. Because once again, you're playing a hell of a corner next week in Jay Alexander. He would definitely take that shit to the crib if he gets on it. Shades of Matt Hasselbeck throwing Al Harris back in the day. Believe me. But we're gonna come back. We're gonna score. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they scored all right. Sent your ass home. So, so I don't want that to happen next week.
Mac Jones, 22 of 32, 321 yards. Actually, pretty good yardage. 3 picks, no touchdowns. I felt he looked pretty good today. Of course, the story of Mac Jones today is he left in the fourth quarter with
the injury.
Looked like a bad left ankle injury. And people were saying, "Oh, it's his Achilles. Oh, it's Achilles, or his ACL or something." I knew immediately it was an ankle injury. Didn't look good. I thought it kind of looked like a baby, to be honest with you. I understand he maybe tore some ligaments on the leg, but he didn't look. He looks like a tough guy. He really looks like a tough guy when he comes to do the press conferences. He just says something like. Then you freaking see him crying when he almost breaks his ankle. And right.
Listen, I'm a little biased to this because you know what happened to me.
I know.
Listen, That's dope. It was the same foot too, but it was my left ankle. Nah, it's like at the at first and I'm pretty sure when he got to the locker room, because there's a shock that hits you. 'Cause I know when it happened to me, it was like this shit happened because you don't feel it at first, but
Sure.
like you see what's going on, you're like this really this break. Like, cause once the adrenaline wears off, and I'm sure once he got to the locker room, it was like, I can imagine because I know when they had to put my shit back in place. So I can imagine. I don't think it's that bad to what happened with me, where I broke my shit in several places. But I also did have Calais Campbell falling on my leg.
Also,
So
no offense to no offense to either of us. Mac Jones a little thinner than both.
sure,
Both of us.
sure, but I think Calais Campbell's big is big like so the fact that he fell on it was like,
Also,
you
I
know.
didn't know that Justin Houston was still in the league on the Ravens. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
thought he was gone.
either. I forgot I remember his days in Kansas City. Yeah, I didn't even start the league either. But yeah, so I was like, wow, like that to me. So I can only imagine, where where he's at mentally with that. What's
So what happened to you? You broke the bone, right?
yeah, broke the
No ligaments or anything like that.
no ligaments damage, thankfully.
Because
That was the
that's
biggest,
what
yeah.
because they did the X-ray. No bones are broken. They're gonna do an MRI tomorrow to find out if ligaments are torn,
Yeah,
and
it
that
might be just a really severe sprain, which I'm hoping that's the case. If that's the case, he could miss 2 or 3 weeks, but,
yeah
as long as they put some protective stuff around it, like for me, even with me, I had surgery like the next day for me, and I was in a boot in 2 weeks, and then around the but I mean, I could have put weight on it though, so I don't
yeah
know what. I mean, granted, they're gonna have people working with him around the clock. That was not the that was the case with me. Let me take that back. I did have people working with me, which is why I was able to get back in 6 or 7 weeks. So they was like, well, it could take 7 weeks or it could take 2 or 3 months. And I was like, I'm definitely not gonna be like this for 3 months. Like we are gonna work aggressively. So I was doing 2 a days in my house just working. And I'm like, I had OT and PT. I teach OT and PT, then I teach. So it was aggressive, it was tiring. So I know all too well what's about to come if it's that severe. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's just something where it's just it's a sprain, and they can just heal it, do whatever heat and ice treatment, whatever they need to do in order to get that together, and then maybe he comes back by the either Detroit game or whatever they have in week 6. So maybe week
yeah.
7 the Lakers just to err on the side of caution.
All right, from Adam Schefter about a half hour ago. Patriots quarterback Mac Jones believed to have suffered a high ankle sprain during today's loss to the Baltimore Ravens. He'll undergo an MRI on Monday to confirm the diagnosis and severity of the injury. So he's not gonna. Let's just spoiler alert. He's not playing in Green Bay. So
No, no, no.
I
That should be assumed anyway. If anyone thought that was the case, even if he was right, he shouldn't have played next week. Let him come back at the least when they play Detroit in week 5. I forget where they play in week 6 right now, but that's who they can maybe bring it back at that time.
after we get through these after we get through these this matchup with the Steelers is I believe the schedule actually opens up a little bit. I'm gonna bring up the schedule right now. So yeah, it's gonna open up a lot. We get the Lions after Green Bay, then the Browns, the Bears, the Jets, the Colts, the Jets again, the Vikings, and then the Bills, and then things get a little tougher. So like we were
So
talking, okay,
between the Detroit to Minnesota game, you got to find a way to at least 4 of those games.
I think they should win all these games. I think they should win against the
Oh, yeah,
Lions,
yeah,
the
yeah. I'm being so yeah. I'm being realistic. I don't trust that they'll win every game because something will happen where it's like, okay,
sure,
well, what
sure,
happened?
sure, sure.
Well, they should win at least 4 of those.
Yeah.
You should beat Detroit. You should beat the Jets twice. You should. Um, and you should win against Cleveland. You should. Um,
Bears and
but
Bears.
Minnesota can be closer because of what Justin Jefferson and those boys can do, but um, you should win at least. You should win those 4 at least, and then
I don't
you
know,
know,
man. I've really been impressed with the Patriots secondary. I feel like they've done a great job.
yeah, Jonathan Jones was great. Jack Jones, the rookie, was really good today as well. So,
Was he the
yeah, I
one who
think that
muffed the punt,
today
or was that Miles Bryant, the
it was
guy who
Miles
muffed the
Bryant.
punt?
It was Miles
That was
Bryant.
Miles Bryant, all right. So I don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's hard because like I said, when I see Miles Bryant, even though he's had some good moments, I see visions of Ellis Hobbs, and like I said, I get PTSD, I get emotional, and I get upset. So,
yeah, yeah.
I want there to be a different outcome when I see him on the field, but I don't know if he's the full-time player. He should be someone that comes in on certain packages to be a sub if needed. So, I don't want to see him too much on the field. Um, so yeah, to me, I'd rather Marcus Jones be back there for for a punch or whatever. 'Cause I remember when we talked about him in the offseason. I thought that he was someone that could be of use if given the opportunity. But you know, I don't know why this just popped to my head, but I guess because I saw what he did today, in Atlanta, or it was in Seattle, but he's on Atlanta.
Who is this?
I would think about going back to get Cordero Patterson. I
You think
would
you
look
can
at
get him
that.
out of Atlanta?
I I don't know what it would take, but I mean, they're not doing anything. I know they beat Seattle today in Seattle, but I'm just like I mean, come on. um, he was. I mean, he had good moments here for us, especially in the return game.
Sure.
But I mean, what he's been able to do to transition as a running back full time after being a wide receiver for a number of years. Um,
Is he a full time running back now?
I mean, just about. I mean, the man had 140 yards today. I mean,
Okay.
he's on the ground, so he I mean, to me, that's the ultimate Swiss Army knife, and he would be perfect. Like I said, I don't know what that would take. Um, maybe like I said, once again, if you're not looking to pay Damian Harris, maybe that's how you dangle that carrot. You say, well, here's Damian Harris for Cordero Patterson. And you just go from there, and
I
you could get a real thunder aligning with Patterson and then and Ramondre Stevenson. That would be cool. I know Tom Montgomery's supposed to come back around week 7, so we'll
yeah.
we'll, we'll, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Tyquan Thornton's supposed to come back around that time too.
Yeah. So
We'll see if he adds anything. I'm not particularly
well, yeah. I mean, we're
bullish on him right now.
we're stars for life after what happened in 2019. So
Yeah,
if he did if he did what Kendrick Bourne did today, we'd be happy.
yeah,
4
sure.
8 yards every week, we'd be like, great,
I
great,
mean,
great.
yeah, I mean, like next year, I'm going to expect a lot more out of Tyquan Thornton. But when I see him
Yeah.
this year, I'm going to be like, "Are you healthy? Did you survive the NFL grind? Fantastic. Put on a little muscle during the offseason. We'll see you during training camp."
Well, hopefully put
Uh,
on muscle now. So if he's a rehab, hopefully he's able to get stronger now. Which I think that's why I thought that was a blessing in disguise that he did get hurt then, because I felt like maybe this is where he could still get the strength and conditioning, get that extended preseason, even though he's rehabbing an injury. And then when he comes back, hopefully they can figure out how to get him wide open. I honestly I think that as he's running, maybe him and Aguilar are running far. I'm also we'll talk about him in a minute, 'cause I know we didn't get into all the negatives yet. Um, I think maybe as they're running their verticals, there's gonna be a lot of space underneath, and maybe that's when the Henrys and Jonathan Smith, maybe those guys start getting going when everyone was back. Because I think what happens is we were so used to the next man up mentality here that if whoever went down, it was whatever because we knew who was at quarterback. They was gonna make do or whatever because they had 12.
yeah,
Now we are a perfect storm type of team, and what I mean by that is everything has to go right in order for them to win. And it's not just something where it's like, oh, well, make it from 1 or 2 plays and we're back in it. Like they have to get to a point where everything falls into place in order for them to have a chance. Because if not, they're gonna either get blown out or they lose in the waning second. So hopefully we can get back to a point where it's not like that and they show more discipline going forward. But you also can have your defense giving up 37 points. Yes, they made some good plays at moments today. But giving up 37 points is never gonna be a recipe for success. Obviously the turnovers is not a recipe for success. So there's a lot of things they need to look at this week to say, okay, this went well, that went well, but whatever any moments that we didn't show discipline, we need to curtail that for next week because if once again Lamar did his thing, but Aaron Rodgers, as much as I can't stand him, and I know Mike can't stand him, if he's on, like it's gonna be a long afternoon.
So Mac Jones, Patriots fear, has a high ankle sprain.
Mhm.
A quick Dr. Google search says a typical recovery from that is about 6 to 8 weeks. So we're looking at Mac Jones out for an extended period of time, assuming he's out. I'm assuming he's out for a while. So do you Rayshawn Buchanan trust? And I whether you like it or not, this is the way it's going to be. I'm a big the way it's going to be guy. Do you trust Brian Hoyer to get you wins against so the Green Bay Packers, the Detroit Lions, the Cleveland Browns, uh, Chicago Bears in prime time,
Mhm.
the Jets, and the Colts?
No,
Okay.
no. They'll win some of the games by default because there'll be some moments when they just somebody else will make a play and whatever. But um, I'm telling you, put the kid in there. I'm telling you,
Not gonna happen, man.
I don't have any data to back this up. I don't have any. It's just a gut thing. Put the kid in there.
You know what? You know why it's not gonna happen? You know why it's not gonna happen? He's good. And then we have to do the whole quarterback controversy thing.
Hey, listen, take it back to 01. TEAM as a team, that's what Mr. Kraft is paying me for to make the best decision in the interest of the team. So at that moment, I'm not worried about, I mean, granted, I understand that, and actually, let me put it like this. There's a reason why they drafted him. And to me, I'm not putting this because to me, I never thought Stidham was going to be. The reason why we all put ourselves into the Stidham thing was because we were talking
Because
ourselves.
we had to. It was denial.
But it's like when I look back now, I didn't really think that he was going to be that. I was talking myself into it all.
Yeah, I think everyone's trying to talk.
Yeah. They were, yes, I know that some that listened. Oh no, you was caping for it. No, yes, I was. But that's because that's the delusional fan. I was trying to talk myself into him being into being decent, but obviously that wasn't the case, and obviously he's going to be a lifelong backup regardless of where he's at in the NFL. So cool, it's the best job in the league because you don't have to take hits all the time, and you get millions of dollars to just hold a clipboard. So it's awesome. So, but yeah, I think to me, I think, and we saw some moments in the preseason where he had some decent throws. 50 touchdowns is 50 touchdowns. I understand that he
I thought he
wasn't.
had 60.
Sorry, 60. I'm sorry. Yeah. So my bad. I'm shortchanging it, but 60 touchdowns for 60 touchdowns. Regardless of what conference you're in. This wasn't FCS or whatever. So, um,
Western Kentucky.
yeah, it wasn't. Well, I know it might be FCS. I don't know, but um,
Oh, gee.
I, they are
He threw for 6,000 yards and 62 touchdowns.
crazy,
Right.
crazy. So to me, I just give it a try. I'd give it a try. Maybe if you don't want to do it for the Green Bay game, I get that because whatever is Aaron Rodgers, you're in Lambeau, cool. But that Detroit game, why not? If they by a miracle find a way to become 2-2 by the time they get to Detroit or they face Detroit, I'd put Bailey Zappi in to see what you have. Why not? Why not? Why not? Just to see what he could do. You may be pleasantly surprised, and I
Well,
think
he played.
you're not going to the Super Bowl. You're not having a deep playoff run with or without Mac. So let's be honest. So why not see what you have in the kid? Once again, Joe said it so eloquently on the show we did a while back on the 01 rewrap. Who is this Tom Brady guy? Who's Tom? Where's it coming? Who's this? Not remembering that he won the Rose Bowl at Michigan.
Yep.
Not remembering that he was, a two-sport athlete and got drafted by the Montreal Expos in the mid-90s. Not understanding that the dude was the most competitive player, and told the owner, I'm the best decision this organization's ever made. And he was fucking correct. like, like there's never been a more important. Like it's Larry Bird, it's Tom Brady. Like there's not been. Well, no, I'll take that back. It's Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and Tom Brady. Like those have been the three most important draft picks in Boston history, like by far. So needless to say, I just think that I'd give the kid a try. And, once again, if it does happen, you can definitely say you heard it here first, because there's definitely not people put out there saying that. They're not going to make that take. I have no problem saying that. And I could be way off base, but if I am, so be it. But once again, if I am and they do put him out there and he does ball out, you can understand that you heard it here on MTP on the 617, brought to you by the Co-working Network. So,
Just
so
a, just a
let's
quick,
go. Zappy Nation, baby.
just a quick sidebar. This Green Bay and Buccaneers game they had today.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone played necessarily good in this game,
No,
but
no.
Romeo Dobbs and Russell Gage, who were, I thought, huge sleepers coming into the season for both teams. I drafted them both on both my fantasy teams.
Yep.
And I benched them both, and they both led each team. So I'm having a great week, Rayshawn. I'm done. I've had a swell couple of days, that's for sure. All right, so Patriots 1-2 this point of the season. Mac Jones going to be gone for at least a month. I'm going to say we'll see what the tests say tomorrow, but at least a month for me. Hard to find positives. It's hard to find positives. The only positive out of a bad team is a good draft pick later next year. So Patriots are 1-2. Dolphins are 3-0 in the division. They beat the Bills today, who are 1-2, 2-1.
Yeah, the Bills are 2-1. Miami's 3-0.
That's
how one is going to lose. They lost to Cincinnati today, so.
NFLPA's pissed because they're finding out about that Tua thing, but we'll figure out there. But we are focusing on the Patriots. Celtics media day will be tomorrow. I'm sure that will be a non-shit storm. It'll just lollipops and gun drops all the way around. Green Family will have you cover of that. That'll be out on Tuesday. Of all that covered out. A lot of news breaking about Ime Udoka. We were talking about it on our back channels about the Ime Udoka thing, the whole situation. And I was just saying, like it always does, of every single one of these situations, I sent like the Dave Chappelle drip, drip, drip. Drip, drip, drip.
Oh, I mean, we knew. Listen, I mean, we said it, and we'll say you can go back and listen to our reaction to it, because we talked about it as it happened on the air. But if you didn't think there was more to the story, I don't know what to tell you. Yes, and we talked about on the surface, what it looked like. Of course, on the surface, it didn't seem something worthy of a year suspension because of what we initially had known, and people came to their own conclusions. But I'll say this, and then we can go where you need to go with this. But
I'm really going. I'm just kind of talking. I want to talk with you, Ray.
When Matt Barnes says,
I was going to say Harrison Barnes.
Oh yeah, Matt, but yeah, when Matt Barnes says that, you fucked up, because Matt Barnes don't care about nothing. This is the same dude that came.
Not a goddamn thing.
This is the same dude that drove down I-5 in California, was ready to whoop Derek Fisher's ass because of what happened, with him. So if Matt Barnes is saying that you're out of line, because he was like, I guess obviously as a player, and he's cool with Tatum, he's cool with some other guys on the team, he's obviously more privy to stuff than even some media people are going to be, because he's a former player. I'm riding with that. So clearly it was some wild stuff that was going on in the stead. And it's unfortunate, but it's just like that. I just hope that there wasn't no sexual assault. Once again, it could be. I just hope there wasn't no sexual assault there. That's all.
I don't think there was sexual assault. I think he definitely made people uncomfortable.
Right. Which is bad enough. I'm saying, but the sexual assault part is even worse. I just hope that it was something where folks just felt uncomfortable from things that were said or maybe even done, but not to the point where it has to be criminal.
He was handed this job as
Right.
the head
Right.
coach of the Boston Celtics on a
Right.
silver fucking platter,
Got it.
man. You made
Yep.
the NBA Finals in your first season, 2 wins away from an NBA title in your first season, and you
Yep.
fuck it up literally and
Yeah.
figuratively.
I didn't go there the other night because I think I was just trying to process everything that happened. But I have to say this, and once again, we can edit this out if it's too
Just
far.
don't name names. I don't care.
No. This is about email. So this is on him.
Okay, dude, Ime's toast.
No, I
He's
know, but
finished.
this is what I'm saying. Okay, so I want to say this without being too brass or whatever. But when you look like me and Ime, the leash is shorter.
Ime's not
And
bad looking. You're not a bad looking guy.
yeah, but that's not what I'm getting at. But yes, I appreciate that. um, when
Oh.
right
Okay. All right. All right.
when you look
Yeah.
like him and I, um, the leash is much shorter. And something you're
Okay.
told in our community, you have to be twice as good to get half the opportunities. So you spent years as an assistant. You spent years as a player. You went through the proper channels to be given this opportunity to be head coach. And because you chose to be promiscuous, you ruined that opportunity. That is a problem. And I know people saying, well, this happens everywhere. And it's the what about isms gotta stop. This is not about, well, what about what Johnny did? What about what so-and-so did? Yeah, we know what's happening. We know. But once again, everyone does not look like Ime Udoka. So there is some other people that probably did it and they got away with it. Okay, fine. It happened. Life's not fair. Um, I think that there was sometimes that people knew about certain things and he was maybe told to stop because it was gonna get even worse if you don't stop. He was told that prematurely, and because of whatever he felt, he just chose to keep it going. And that happens. Um, but I didn't say that. I didn't like I said I didn't verbalize that the other night because I was just like I was still trying to process what had went down. But um I don't think it will ruin him getting a coaching job again, but it'll be a while because of how it went down. Once again, Mark Jackson has basically got blackballed, and basically it hasn't even and didn't do anything that even Udoka did. Um, he just did all the stuff in Golden State, but it's like, damn, he went another 5-6 years without having, or another, I'm sorry, 8 years without having a job. So, and he
Meanwhile, Steve
right,
Nash can never coach a day in his life and get a head coaching job.
right, exactly. So I'm like, that to me, I don't know. It's just to me
Or
that's
Jason
where
Kidd. Or Jason
that's where
Kidd.
that's where I'm the most disappointed. Once again, people can have
Although
the
Jason Kidd is also black, so
right, yeah, exactly. But
he's not
right,
black.
top
Okay.
tier point guard, right, exactly. But I just to me, I just think that there you have to have that mindset, like,
By the way, Rayshawn's totally okay with me saying that.
yeah, of course, of course. I would, listen. We've been listen.
Oh yeah.
We're in 2022. I've known since 2009. So it's like this is not.
I am working.
I know exactly what your premise is every time we talk. Like I'm not. That's
Yeah.
not my concern. I wanted to put that out there and let people know that it's like, yo, um, you have to handle things differently when you are a black coach in professional sports, because the opportunities are few and far between. So whether it's the Sam Mitchells or David Fisdale's, David Fisdale is someone who I would love to be a replacement for Ime Udoka if that's the case. Um, once again, and I know someone just texted me about, well, Mazzulla was up for the Utah job, so he was a highly touted recruit for. Save the spin cycles, save the spinning class from me. You're not convincing me that Joe Mazzulla is going to be the guy that takes us anywhere. Once again, I could be completely wrong because I'm so vehemently against it right now. But I'm pissed off that we had the guy, we had him that could have took us to X, Y, and Z, that could have took us to the championship, that took us in his first fucking year. And now to me, this is their third coach in 3 years. Regardless, yes, Missoula's been there. He's been there about this is their third coach in 3 years.
Head coach.
Yeah, third head coach in 3 years. And once again, Tatum is only 24 still. We forget about that. We thinking that he ain't 29, 30 where he's been in the league for like he's 24
He'll
years
always
old.
be 19 to me.
Right. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, shout out to Bree. But and then obviously Jaylen Brown is that's 25. So it's like, yo, like they've seen a lot. And it's like at some point there has to be a model of consistency. And you had it. That's why Brown was so pissed on Thursday because he knew. Um, and for those that
Brad was
yeah,
pissed because people are saying, you know, Lady X, Y, and Z were the
well,
ones
he was
he
pissed
wanted
about
to
that, but he was
protect.
also pissed that he made too. It wasn't just it was a mix of both. But in
Sure,
my
okay.
opinion, but I just think
I
that
didn't watch it, but I believe it.
oh yeah, for sure. No, yeah, that he you could tell that's the maddest I've seen him. Like
Sure.
that he doesn't usually get, he's pretty reserved, pretty laid back. Um, I feel some type of way for those that are saying they want him to be back if that was the case. I'm like, listen, um, I know I joked about him calling him horses or whatever. Um, but if you're telling me my options are between Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla to come back and coach,
Welcome
you
back,
damn,
horseshoes.
no, yeah, you're damn right. I'm going back with Brad Stevens. Like,
I'm getting the nails.
yeah, exactly. You kidding me? So, that's just my thing. And I'm someone who killed Brad Stevens on here. So if I'm saying that, I'm just like, once again, I want someone who knows for sure what they're doing. Um, Once again, we could be completely wrong, but they got to bring another veteran guy on that staff. So whether it's Fizdale, whether it's I don't know who they're gonna bring in, but it can't be um I'd even take a Rasheed Wallace. I know he didn't go down there with LA. I think he was going to be assistant LA. Rasheed Wallace as an assistant would be amazing. I know he only played here for a year or some change. Um,
He had the
but
heaviest jump shot ever. So, like it was just like
yeah, I mean,
the
yeah, but
jump.
I mean, no one would block it either at 6'11".
He
But
had that weird
yeah,
ball spot too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right in the middle of his head. But yeah. So, but I had to make that point about Ime because I said that's the other angle that won't get spoken about as much because people don't want to touch that. But um, I'm going to, and I said this is not we have not been afraid to touch on those issues here.
No,
So I just think to me that's where I'm the most disappointed. Once again, um, what happened with the family, what happened with Nia, that truth be told, that's none of our business. It's not.
not at all.
It's not our business. We're behind one scenes, but it's out there now. It's out there for public consumption. So we addressed it. We talked about it. But I'm speaking from a professional
And
standpoint.
if this didn't
It fucked up
if this
big time.
didn't involve Ime Udoka losing his job and it was just him having an affair with some woman, I don't give a shit.
Right.
It's his
Right.
personal life, man.
Right.
If he wants to fuck it up, it's his life. I care what happens for 12, 24, 48 minutes
Right.
on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's where I'm at. But I just think to me, um, I hope that other coaches that look like Ime understand, hey, um, this opportunity is slim, is real slim,
Yep.
and do not do anything to jeopardize what you can do in the future. Because even though you had that, when you're in a current job, you always got to think about the next one because coaching is a very short profession. And I hope that Pop has given him some advice. I know Pop, was with him for a long time. Maybe Brett Brown, some other guys that's been in the San Antonio tree. I hope that they have reached out to him because even at the end of the day, I'm sure that he feels bad to some extent, but at the same time, you're not thinking about that when you're in the middle of doing stuff because you're just engaged in whatever activity that you're participating in. So, um, outside of the lawyer like statement he gave the other day that you read for us on air, I do think there's some remorse there, but um, yeah, at the end of the day, the mistake was there. Um, but just as the fan, I'm pissed that right now it seems like they're going to take a step back because they don't have uh the trust at the top. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we have a whole season to talk about how they look and how they build that chemistry together because no 2 years are alike, no two games are alike. So the Joe Mazzulla era begins and once again, I'm a fan of the name on the front, not the name on the back. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna ride with the Celtics until the wheels fall off. But right now, I do have cause to pause, and I do have reasons for concern. But I'm hoping that those fears uh are running away as we get into the regular season.
We're gonna wrap this up real quick, but in a second. But unfortunately, we all know how these things work,
Mhm.
and whether we like it or not, and we feel bad for everybody involved, we're gonna learn every single fucking thing that happened. Everything.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
somebody
I
got
mean, yeah. I mean,
somebody got
at the end of the
pricked,
day, we may not, because I think that
oh
they.
no, we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, and I'll say this too, because I know Stephen A. and some others, we got slammed from this. Um, and I have to say this too. Malika Andrews, who's on ESPN, she does NBA Today. Um, I'm not here to slander her, but I will say I'm disappointed in her stance, and I'll leave it at that. She is one of my favorite reporters in media, regardless of network. But I was disappointed with her stance on Thursday and Friday. But I'll just leave it at that.
Look
Um,
into that afterward.
that's just me. But um, I I don't know. To me, I think that um, at the end of the day, it was two people. It wasn't one,
Yep.
and she was on the team. And once again, that part that came out about you was around them, like you help put stuff together, like you help aid some stuff, and you know what was going on. That to me is like that. That's like yo, like that's the ultimate slap in the face. So yeah, I'm sure. Like I said, there's gonna be some else to unfold. I just think that they're gonna do what they can to protect her name, but the name's already out there, so we know who it is. I'll say that we don't have to put the name out there, but and just to say, for those that were mad about it, it is one of the names we talked about. I mean, that people talked about said that we didn't put any names out there, but it is one of the names that was put out there. So when people say, "Oh, you guys were throwing people on the bus," that one of the names that people talked about, it was actually them. So just saying. The other two, like Joe said, that the other two, they can wipe their hands, whatever, it's good, but it turned out to be one of the people that we spoke about. So
Yeah.
it was a limited list, unfortunately. It is what it is.
That's what you get in
That's
a
like,
male dominated profession, right?
right. That's what I just
It's easy to narrow it down.
I didn't get that. I'm like, it was a limited list, so it was only one or three. And for those that worked there, I hadn't seen that individual that they're talking about, but
Yeah.
that, like I said, that for one of the people they were talking about, like I've seen many a times. So
Well, another New England Patriots shit show week in the books. Oh wait, it's the beginning of this week, isn't it? I
yep.
always forget Sunday's the beginning of the week. So Patriots lose to the Baltimore Ravens 37-26. They're now 1-3 in the season. Patriots media days tomorrow. Green FM will have coverage on that on Tuesday morning. We'll leave a link to that when it comes out. I still think the Celtics are going to be a good team. We'll leave it at that. We'll talk about more of that when we come back later this week. So I think that once they actually start playing basketball and Tatum's hitting threes and we see how we actually talk about how good Malcolm Brockton.
Yeah.
Help me out here. What's his name?
No, Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brockton. Thank you. We'll actually see how good he is, and hopefully we can actually talk about Celtics being a good team because fuck man, we need it. But for Craig D'Alessandro, Rayshawn Buchanan's over there. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us there, hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure to subscribe. Leave us a 4-star review if you're a 5-star review if you're on Apple Podcasts or whatever the hell Spotify does. Just make sure to subscribe. Then you'll get a little notification every time I put out one of these episodes. But Rayshawn, any final words?
No, just like Celtics media days tomorrow, and like I said, I look forward to seeing how the team looks on the court. Eventually, I'll be there October 2nd for preseason game number 1 against the Charlotte Hornets at 1:00 Sunday afternoon. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully, when we do a preview later on in the week for Green Bay and New England, that we have some other news about Mac and just kind of what the game plan is going to be for Sunday, to see how they can find a way to become victorious at Lambeau.
Looking forward to it, my friend. Fun as always. Thank you so much, Rayshawn Buchanan. I am Craig D'Alessandro. This is the 617 brought to you by Growworthy, the voice of the fans, by the fans. We have some new sponsors coming our way. We haven't locked them down quite yet, but they are coming very, very soon. So look forward to that. I'm actually very excited. We've been informed what they are, and I'm actually very much looking forward to it, especially if you're a Bruins fan. So look forward to that very soon. But for Rayshawn Buchanan, once again, I'm Craig D'Alessandro. Thank you so much for listening in to the 617, and we'll talk to you next time later this week. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see how we're feeling. But bye, everybody.